What's up, guys? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger War Eagle. College football is definitely back in full effect. UAB taking on Central Arkansas last night. South Alabama taking on Southern Miss. And it gives the promise, the hope that this football season is actually going to happen. And it's very exciting. It gives, like I said in a video prior, it gives some level of normalcy because a lot of us still doubting, still wondering whether this season is going to take place. They're actually playing football in the state of Alabama as far as high school goes. So it's really, really encouraging to see a cultural staple in the Deep South that college football is taking place. Now, Anthony Schwartz, easily one of the fastest players in college football. He's dazzled us in that Texas A&M game when he took off on the jet sweep, basically putting that game, putting Auburn in a very good position to jump out ahead on Texas A&M. Auburn going on to win that game 28-20. Now, a lot of fans are probably thinking, like, where is Anthony Schwartz going to fit into all this? One thing I liked about the interview that he just did today, in front of a lot of sports writers, a lot of your usuals, your Philip Marshalls, Justin Ferguson's, guys like that, asking those probing questions of Anthony Schwartz as to, trying to get a little intel on it, especially where the offense is going. And one thing I liked about Anthony Schwartz is when he was talking about how he's mastering more so the wide receiver position. Because if we look at last year, Anthony Schwartz mostly on the crossing routes, or better yet, the deep routes. But the legit intermediate routes, Anthony Schwartz really wasn't called upon to do so for a couple of reasons. One, the offense wasn't as diverse as it probably is going to be this particular season. And Anthony Schwartz probably has not been developed to that level of skill set, because he talked about how he's perfecting his craft in working on running all the routes in the route tree. Now, the route tree, you talk about the dig routes, you talk about the post routes, you talk about comebacks, finding hot routes within those types of things. And with a guy as fast as Anthony Schwartz, he could really be one of the more dynamic college football players this year because of his speed. And then you add that wide receiver skill set to it, in addition to having guys like Seth Williams and the great recruiting class that Auburn has brought in. I think it could be a very, very huge opportunity for Anthony Schwartz to take his game to the next level. He did even mention all the stuff that we're thinking as far as, these guys being on quarantine for a couple of weeks, 16 players were out. And he said that obviously, and this is obvious stuff, it puts guys on the spot to where they have to step up, because that might be the trajectory of this season, to where you might have a situation where there's 4 or 5 guys that might not get to play this year because of COVID exposure, or actually contracting the COVID themselves. So this proves to be very challenging to the coaching staff as well, to have to adjust to consistent change. That's something that Anthony Schwartz talked about in the interview, is how his players he and the players have had to adjust to constant change. And then, a lot of times what people discount is the fact that when you're not able to practice, or when you're not able to study side by side with your teammates, that can kind of cause some level of disconnect team-wise. But he said, it actually brought them closer. It actually makes them communicate even on a higher level. So this is a very maturing thing, especially for some young kids who are just used to going out, getting ready for the football season in a normal kind of way, but having to make all these adjustments. It's admirable how a lot of these kids have responded, and it's going to be real interesting to see how this particular thing plays out when the season actually gets started. Really excited to see what Anthony Schwartz is going to do this year, especially with the presumed maturation of Bo Nix, and with the diversity that Chad Morris's offense should bring, asking receivers to do something a little different than what they're accustomed to. I even think about Seth Williams. This could be a big opportunity for Seth Williams even to take his game to the next level and diversify his route running as well, and even get himself even a higher stock going into the NFL draft. So very good information from Anthony Schwartz, especially when he talked about the 16 guys that were out because of COVID, how they had to make those crazy adjustments in practice. A lot of times, not having enough guys to practice, and it just really sets the tone to what could be a very interesting season for the Tigers offensively. You talk about a loaded backfield. You talk about probably going to be in a position to where even at the offensive line, you have guys in the right position. Because I don't think individually, other than Caleb Kim, who was somewhat of a bottleneck at center, the guys weren't bad. I just think a lot of times they were out of position, and just from a chemistry standpoint, sometimes those things just absolutely don't work out. All right, guys, let me know about this, how you feel about this video. Talk about your opinions about Anthony Schwartz. Let's get the conversation going, guys, as this Auburn football team gets ready to play Kentucky September the 26th. It's going to be an 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 o'clock Eastern Time football game. There is this myth going around that Auburn does not play particularly well in those games, and we'll see if that's going to be the case leading up to this particular season opener. Then, of course, you got the big one against Georgia the following week. So very exciting season ahead. Click the bell twice so you don't miss any of the information. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.